My Carolina Panthers are walking out of this Week 9 NFL season with their heads hanging low, deservedly so, because they lost in embarrassing fashion to the Indianapolis Colts, 27-13, moving to 1-7 on the season. And in this video, I'm going to do as I do after each and every game and provide you all with a few awards for some performances I saw put forth out there on the field. And we're going to get into all of that right after this.
I'm from the foe, you dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 3K, trying to make sure my channel continues to grow as my team falls apart this season. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to these awards so that you can already see them on the screen. These guys have been a collective disappointment, leaving us fans in collective disbelief at just how ass they have been playing. So winning their second "You Should Have Stayed Your Ass in the Locker Room" award, the entire offensive line, because each and every one of you was just completely terrible at your job throughout this entire game. I thought that this may have been a turnaround point, that with the insertion of Austin Corbett last week, him being in for a second week in a row, maybe there will be a little bit more camaraderie, maybe there will be a little bit more consistent play, but no, these guys regressed again. On the first offensive drive of the game, we are 2nd and 1. Then we immediately get an offsides or a false start penalty on Bradley Bozeman, moving us back to, no, it is third down. On 3rd and 1, we get a false start by Bradley Bozeman, move us back to 3rd and 6. Offensive line breaks down on the next play. Bryce has to scramble, only gets 5 yards. We pump the ball away. Immediately just showing that these big ass guys in the middle of this offensive line were not going to be able to hold down the fort for Bryce Young throughout the entirety of this game, and that just kept on snowballing as the quarters continued. Secondly, in the most egregious shit that I have to bring up is I highlighted last week all of Ike Ekwonu's failures, all of his mishaps, all of the plays that Jonathan Grenard just whooped his ass last game. But the most egregious play last game was on the first play of the game when the offense was on the field. Ike Ekwonu almost allowed for Bryce Young to get a safety by getting sacked, leaving the man blitzing off the edge completely untouched. So after seeing that shit put on film, after going to practice, after doing walkthroughs, after sleeping on that shit for a whole week, what does Ike Ekwonu do the very next game? He does the same exact shit. This time, Bryce Young was, by the grace of the football gods, just able to escape and throw the ball out for a short gain that still didn't amount to nothing because we had to punt the ball away anyway. But how in the hell do you get beat in the exact same situation 2 weeks in a row, and we're supposed to believe that you are progressing, that you are getting better, that you are living up to this first round draft status that we have? Man, Ike Ekwonu, that shit is unacceptable. Bradley Bozeman has been escaping my wrath all season. He, as this center, was somebody that I felt would be a staple moving forward after his performance, after we moved on and inserted Deontay Foreman last year. Bradley Bozeman was very stalwart. He was a cornerstone of that offensive line and helped us reach top 10 in rushing offense last season. Bradley Bozeman ain't scratched the surface of that shit whatsoever this season. Even Austin Corbett coming back, I am going to give him a little slack because this man is coming back only on his second game of a season-ending injury. Taylor Moton getting his ass done up all game too. These guys were just not getting the job done. Bryce Young had many mistakes in this game, and trust and believe we will get to that shit later on in this video. But a lot of those mistakes and a lot of the fault for Bryce Young doing those things could be attributed to the lack of good play by the offensive line. These guys were going out there and just getting bowled over play after play, looking like they were a peewee football offensive line out there that just couldn't do shit to protect the franchise cornerstone. So for that reason, each and every one of y'all, Icky, Taylor Moton, Bradley Bozeman, Austin Corbett, Brady Christensen, all y'all should have stayed y'all asses in the locker room. Congratulations. Terrible, man. Just terrible. Now, before I get to the rest of these awards, I want to take this time to remind you all that this channel, the way I see it, is now in partnership and sponsored by BetUS. If you use the promo code in the description of this video, you will get a 120% bonus of a minimum deposit of $100 towards your bets and 30 risk-free bets on top of that. So that means if you deposit $100, you are then gifted $225 to then bet on top of 30 risk-free bets. I don't know why I'm struggling to say that, but thank you, and that will be the best way that you can support this channel. The description is down or the promo code is down in the description. So next, the referees. You should have stayed y'all asses in the locker room. The trajectory of this game was completely changed when Xavier Woods was flagged for that unsportsmanlike conduct, for that unnecessary roughness, whatever the hell that call was, in the early portion of the second quarter when he dislodged the ball from Michael Pittman and left him on the ground with the wind knocked out of him momentarily. These zebras out there on the field with these funny looking ass hats just decided, you know what? I don't like the Panthers. Fuck the Panthers. We're about to call a flag on the Panthers. And that's exactly what they did. Rather than being objective, rather than going to the tape and watching it in slow motion, or rather than knowing that in real time this may look a little bit more severe than what it was, they went ahead without any deliberation. They didn't get into their little zebra ass huddle and talk about it. They just said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and throw the flag and gift these guys 15 extra yards, basically putting them on the goal line and gifting them with 7 more points, allowing them to go up 10-0 rather than just holding them to a field goal or a potential punt in that spot. After that, the Carolina Panthers offense struggled to get anything going. That is when the interception started. That is when the defense started to give up a little bit more to Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss. That play was very impactful and had a very, very, very substantial standing in the outcome of this game, because I believe that is when the momentum of this defense that we were starting to build up in the first half was unfortunately brought crashing down because these zebras just wanted to throw flags all over the field. We have the most penalized offensive line in the entire league. Flags should be the Carolina Panthers' middle name, man. So for all of those reasons, but mainly just because that one flag was bullshit, y'all refs should have stayed y'all asses in the locker room. Congratulations. Oh, man. This game was so fucking frustrating, man. So frustrating. So moving on. Now that we've talked about the O-line, we've talked about the referees, now we have to talk about the coaching. So collectively, winning their very first "you should have stayed your ass in the locker room" award, Thomas Brown and Frank Reich. What the hell is this offense? If you have been following the channel, if you have been following the Carolina Panthers football for any duration of time throughout this most current year, which is the year we're in right now, you will know that a buzzword, something that has ticked off many fans, including myself, has been the word vanilla. Vanilla, 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 because that is what was thrown in our face throughout the early portion of this season, and especially in the preseason. These two men on your screen wanted us, the viewing public, to believe that they were not showing their tricks, that they were not digging in the bag and just showing anything that we had. We wanted to keep it very bland. We wanted to go out there and run very basic ass plays. Well, that has trickled down 9 damn games into the season, or 8 damn games into the season, whatever it is, and this vanilla shit is still very present. I was very quick to praise Thomas Brown last week because we got the victory, but still, we did not score very many points. There still were a lot of mishaps, and the victory overshadowed a lot of things that I could have been nitpicky about that this offense was still struggling with, although Bryce Young did have what is arguably, or not even arguably, is his best game of the season. In that game, there was still a lot of things that could have been, that I could have critiqued. Those things have transferred over to this week, and it looked like those things have gotten categorically worse. I gave them credit for running those 3 tight end sets effectively, running those plays, getting a little bit more creative. But this week, it seems as though we reverted right back to that vanilla ass play calling that we had when Frank Reich was the one holding the clipboard. Now, a lot of this stuff is something that I believe that can be just altered by just a simple flip in personnel here or there, but it seems as though these guys are very dug in on the decisions that they made at the beginning of the year with the personnel and mainly with the wide receivers. Why do I say that? Something that has irked me to this point, up into this point in the season, somebody I have not focused on, somebody you have not heard me complain much about, but has been a true disappointment for this team, is wide receiver DJ Chark. He was supposed to come in and be the speed guy, the one that would stretch the field and be that downfield threat that would not allow the middle of the field to be so occupied and would actually be a big play threat for us waiting to happen if ever that was allowed to happen. DJ Chark just simply hasn't been that guy. I don't know if it has been if it is schematic reasons, whether or not he is still fighting off that injury he had at the beginning of the season, but DJ Chark has not been able to do that. So when we said we needed a speedier guy at the beginning of the season, before the season even started, the Carolina Panthers went out and traded for Ihmir Smith-Marsette, who many people thought was coming in to potentially be a slot receiver, seeing just how fast he was, seeing just how dynamic he could be as a playmaker with the ball in his hands, so much so that he was immediately inserted as the punt returner for this team that I still stand on. Raheem Blackshear deserves that spot. I was under the assumption that Ihmir Smith-Marsette would come in and at least get some plays in the slot, be somebody that could get the quick game going, get those bubble screens that we constantly throw to Adam Thielen. I thought that he would be somebody that could come in and take over those responsibilities, but Thomas Brown nor Frank Reich have elected to even allow him to get one offensive snap. If I'm not mistaken, I don't believe I've ever seen 11 run out on a route or at any point in this entire season. So when you have players that were brought in that could potentially make an impact, but you continuously choose to spend the free agency or the practice squad carousel to try to replace players throughout this on this team, it makes one believe, are you moving in a sense of somewhat arrogance, just saying, well, if these guys were better, we will be playing better because my scheme and my plays are good? I think that's a fair question to ask. That's not something that I want to accuse them of, but when you make decisions like this and you would rather bring in practice squad guys and insert them in spots that you actually traded draft capital, rather than inserting the guy that you put in that spot, I feel as though it's very fair for me to question what is your motive behind the scenes when you are making plays like this. As I mentioned, the quick game just absolutely sucks. We continue to try to get it going with Adam Thielen. Laviska Shenault isn't there, and so pretty much that part of the quick game has been relegated out, those quick screens, to him, and we just don't have anybody to do that. So there's no reason why a speedy guy like Marsette shouldn't be doing that, man. But finally, the final point that I want to say on this is Frank Reich should be one of the most embarrassed men in America right now. If you do not know, if you did not see the video The Colts owner, Jim Irsay, was in the Carolina Panthers opposing locker room, turning up and dancing the dreams and nightmares by Meek Mill after defeating the Carolina Panthers. And I know Frank Reich more than likely missed out on a little bit of sleep because that happened. Can you imagine the owner that fired you less than halfway into the season last year comes into your home stadium the next season after you were afforded the opportunity to trade up to the first overall pick, draft whatever quarterback you deemed that would be successful for your team, pick your staff, pick everything around you. He comes in with somebody that he replaced you with their backup quarterback, and they beat you in your house. That shit is embarrassing as hell, and Frank Reich allowed for that to happen. So for all of those reasons, you embarrassing man, Frank Reich and Thomas Brown, y'all should have stayed y'all asses in the locker room. Congratulations. Yeah, man, my disaster cats are terrible. So now we move into the final award of the video. No, there will not be any positivity. No, I will not be trying to search to be objective. The Panthers are some shit. They played like some shit. Everybody in this game was some shit. So there were no ballers. But I'm pretty sure that this is the person that many people are most interested in hearing me talk about, in hearing how I felt about his performance. But in the award category that he is unfortunately falling into, I think that pretty much gives you all a sneak peek into just how I feel about his performance. So winning, unfortunately, his very first "you should have stayed your ass in the locker room" award, Bryce Young. Now, I know everybody's going to say rookie year, rookie this, 7 games. All of that is fair. I am not here to say that it is not. If you are looking at this game through that lens and you do not see anything wrong with his performance, I respect that, and I just hope that you can respect me as being somebody that is going to choose to be a bit critical. So, Bryce Young in this game had 173 total passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions, 2 of which being returned as pick sixes, and he had an 11.2 QBR, and on average per pass, he was getting 4.4 yards per completion. Now, Bryce Young, yes, is a rookie, but a lot of what went down in this game was just bad play. Now, of course, I am going to stick up for him and say that he is unfortunately going to have to go through growing pains. He is unfortunately going to have to learn on the fly because we do not have any superstars on this team. We do not have any players surrounding him, minus Adam Thielen, that can get their own shot, for lack of a better term, in this moment. But Bryce Young is going to have to be somebody that is going to have to elevate these other guys in particular moments. I'm not saying that he's going to have to go out there and be Patrick Mahomes and be somebody that can literally elevate the entire offense above the suboptimal play that they have been displaying right now. But he is going to have to be somebody that is going to have to learn to work with the lack of weapons that he has as of right now. So one thing that I will say is the offensive play calling that I just complained about is something that is working against Bryce Young. In my opinion, the downfall of that play calling is what I am going to blame his first interception on. It happened as we were driving down the field with less than a minute to go in the second quarter, hoping to at least get in field goal range to put 3 points up on the board. We were just slowly picking our way down, picking apart the defense that was playing off the entire time with just quick out. We would, if we got to third and short, we would throw a run in there, but it was just quick out left, quick out right. So when Bryce Young threw the interception, it was on what many would like easily assume it would be on a quick out, but because the added pressure of the offensive line breaking down was there, it was a very telegraphed play. That's the word I'm looking for. It was very telegraphed. Kenny Moore had saw that he had allowed that play to be completed at least 2 or 3 times prior on this exact same drive. So when he saw that, I believe that it was Mingo leaking out to that in that soft flat the way that he was, it was an easy read for him to make because that play had been called at least 5 times on that drive altogether. So with that being the case, it would be hard for Bryce Young to overcome that play calling. Now stick with me and know that yes, I am saying that, and yes, I am coming off of and I am taking the blame off of Bryce Young, but stick with me. I'm going to get to my ultimate point here in a second. So his second pick six was one that was on pretty much a similar play. It wasn't a quick out, but it was supposed to be a bubble screen to Miles Sanders, which Bryce Young unfortunately just sailed over his head and just fell right into his hands. Now, the reason I want to say that, although I disagree with some of the play calling in these situations, Bryce Young, being at this stage in his career, has to understand, and yes, it's only 7 games. Yes, I completely understand that. But again, being the first overall pick, being somebody that's supposed to be a processor, which is the word that is always associated with him, one would assume, and I think it's fair to assume, that in a few of those situations, he would know that just taking the sack or throwing the ball away is less consequential than throwing the ball up for grabs. I give everybody the point of the O-line breaking down. Yes, he is in harm's way, but the ball and the game is less in harm's way if he just goes down or he just throws the ball away. He is still going to get hit on those plays no matter what. He is just choosing to get hit after throwing the ball frantically. As a viewer of the game and as a fan, I would rather he just dirted the ball, threw it away, or just took the sack. But just throwing the ball up and just praying that somebody catches it is never the correct move to make. So yes, I believe that the O-line and the play calling both were failing him in this game. But when Bryce Young was forced to make a decision with his arm, he unfortunately, just like the O-line, just like the coaching, made bad decisions as well. And 2 of those plays resulted in a pick six, which in pick sixes, which in my opinion is pretty much, it's inexcusable, man. That's literally throwing a touchdown to the other team. If you want to be like particular about this, Bryce Young threw 2 touchdowns for the Colts and only 1 for us. Yes, he's a rookie, but you have to call a spade when you are presented with it, man. And that was just not good plays. Now, the final interception in the 4th quarter down the field to Hayden Hurst, I have absolutely no idea what he was seeing on that play. Bryce Young just completely he just completely airmailed it, and I can't even say he airmailed it. He just lollipopped it and it hung up in the air and it never necessarily made it to Hayden Hurst. The Colts got up under the ball, took it, and pretty much that was all she wrote. The entire morale of the game had pretty much already been ruined by that point. Nobody had any hope of any miraculous comeback because it's not even like the Colts were doing so much to prevent us from coming back in this game. We were just constantly shooting ourselves in the foot, and the one that was behind the plays that shot ourselves in the foot the most, unfortunately, was Bryce Young. So for all of those reasons, man, I hate to be hard on the rookie, but it is what it is. That boy did not play good, and he had a very bad game. So for those reasons, Bryce Young, you should have stayed your ass in the locker room, sir. Congratulations. Yes, sir, man. Those are the awards for this week, man. I apologize for being a little bit late on the release schedule. I know this isn't coming out to Tuesday, so 2 days after the game. I have been busy, man. I have a lot going on, trying to prepare to move in these upcoming months. I have been grinding a lot behind the scenes, man. I do have a full-time job. I can't bring y'all as much content as I used to because I am working a little bit more than I was throughout the off season. So I appreciate you all for understanding, man. But I will be covering this upcoming game this Thursday. Hopefully Deontay Foreman does not run for 300 yards against us in a revenge game along with DJ Moore, man. But what do you all think about this video? What do you all think about this topic? What do you all think about these awards? What do you think about this game, man? Be sure to leave your comments down in the comment section, and I'll be sure to chop it up with you there, man. But until next time, I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.